Attention in the lamb barn, beginning in 10 minutes, we'll be starting with senior showmen. Making their way to the show arena at this time should be ages 16 to 18 showmen. These exhibitors are Katie Wolfer, Tegan Tisland, Emma Brandenburg, Kenton Wood, and Shelby Rohrbacher. Please rise for the national anthem. Entering the arena at this time is the first class of showmen. These exhibitors are Katie Wolfer, Tegan Tisland, Emma Brandenburg, Kenton Wood, and Shelby Rohrbacher. Judge, this is your class. We would like to welcome our judge for this morning, Mike Crowder. He is from Sheridan, Indiana. Mike owns Integrity Livestock Sales and raises South Downs. Let's give a hand for our judge. Making their way outside the arena at this time should be ages 13 to 15 showmen. These exhibitors are AJ Cunningham, Cruz Cunningham, Jenna Stahl, Reed Etling, Rowdy Etling, Leah Riley, Shia Florence, and Elizabeth Hauserman. Please be getting ready outside the barn.
Well, good morning. We had a little storm, I think, went through here. It didn't rain till I got to east side of Cincinnati. Let me tell you about showmanship real quick. And this is Mike Crowder's philosophy. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just my philosophy. I'm looking for a kid that I can throw in the truck, go to a national show, put him on my best U, send him to the ring, and not worry about it. I'm not into this, quiz bowl questions. I'm not into a lot of robot kids. These sheep are unique. Every sheep in this class is unique. Everyone needs to be showed a little different. And these robots that are out there trying to do this the same way for every sheep, it just doesn't work. That's the first thing I want to say. The second thing, parents, I want you to know this. When storms go through, sheep get a little frisky. Okay? They get a little frisky. Don't get frustrated with your kids. Don't get frustrated with your kids' sheep. That's just part of being in livestock. And this is a two-partner dance. And both partners have to be on their game today. So I always tell parents, just relax. Sometimes sheep have bad days. Sometimes kids have bad days. Gosh, I got two of my own. Okay? So everybody relax. Have a good time out here. We're going to start with the young lady with the black sheep on the far end. I think she does a great job. She gets that lamb set up on all four corners. She's smooth going around the ring. She does a lot of the things that I like. It's a smaller sheep. We talked a little bit about she's tall like I am with the smaller sheep and how to try to look a little bit more comfortable, but I think she does a great job. Taking nothing away from this young lady right here. She does a phenomenal job too. I like the way you get your sheep set with your hands most of the time. We talked about some ways to make it a little easier, a little smoother, but I think she does a great job as well. Both of those could go with me to our next junior show, and I wouldn't be afraid to put them on either one of my better sheep. The next young man does a good job as well. I like the fact, young man, that you set feet with your hands. I always appreciate that, okay? Every once in a while, we let that sheep get a little lazy, and that's what I'm talking about, dance partners. Sometimes those sheep, we got them set the way we want them, and the sheep will relax, okay? So we talked about those types of things as well. The next two folks out here, I don't think their sheep like the storm. I don't think they really appreciated the thunder and lightning, and they're a little frisky out here today. You just got to stay calm. They both did a great job of staying calm. They never got frustrated. They never got mad. They didn't hit their sheep. They should be appreciated for those things. Thank you.
Entering the arena at this time is our class of intermediate showmen. These exhibitors are AJ Cunningham, Cruz Cunningham, Jenna Stahl, Reed Etling, Rowdy Etling, Leah Riley, Shia Florence, and Elizabeth Hauserman. Judge, this is your class. Congratulations to our class of senior showmanship. First place, Katie Wolfer. Second place, Emma Brandenburg. Third place, Tegan Tisland. Fourth place, Kenton Wood. And fifth place, Shelby Rohrbacher. Our class of beginner showmanship should be making their way outside the arena. These exhibitors are Silas Cunningham, Case Stahl, Benjamin Florence, Hannah Florence, Joshua Florence, and Laney Wood. Please be making your way outside the arena.
Well, I think we got a little give and take in this particular drive, but I think we've got a lot of promise here, especially with these top 3 or 4 that's on this end for me. I think they do a lot of the right things in terms of hand placement, in terms of getting the head up, in terms of trying to set, trying to set the feet with their hands. I get the push button deal. I do. My kids started showing when they were 5 years old. You don't think I didn't have those sheep trained to stop at a certain place? Absolutely. Absolutely. Push button. Sally the South down. Very first one we had for my 15-year-old now. But when they got to be 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, we started expecting a little bit more out of them. So I kind of expect a little bit more out of this group relative to the next group, which is younger, but maybe not quite as much as I did out of the first group, which was older. That's called progress. That's called process. That's called getting better. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier because I'm old and I forget stuff sometimes, but this showmanship thing, guys, starts about May 1st or earlier, okay? We walk set. My kids will get it, and they'll tell you they hate it, but I think they really love it. We'll walk 10 feet, stop, set them up. They got so much time to do it. We'll walk it 10 more feet, set them up. They got so much time to do it. We start practicing with sheep up on the stand. Sheep that want to drop their head. When they drop their head, they drop their chest floor. We get them up on a stand, make them stand with their heads up. If that doesn't work, we've got some elastic bands that we hang from the rafters, and we make them stand with that head up to where it's natural for them. To when they go around the ring, we're leading them like a parade. And I know this is a sheep show, and I know when we get to the market lambs, we're going to talk about pretty and front end and this, that, and the other, and I know it's about muscle, and I get that. But it's still a show. It's still a pageant. These animals have to look good, okay? So we got to get those heads up, even on the move. I tell my youngest kid all the time, moving the sheep in the ring doesn't mean going from point A to point B. It means that guy's looking for something. And when you let that head drop, that chest floor comes down, you're probably going to get cut. So those are some things that I'm looking for out of this group. Hand placement, head placement. Can we set feet with hands? I hope most of them can. Not all of them quite yet. But it starts at home, guys. I'm telling you. 30, 40-minute sessions. Boom. Start doing it. Every 10 feet. My kids, every 10 feet. I'll just tell them, every 10 feet. And they'll roll their eyes at me, parents. They will. They'll curse you under their breath. They will. Okay? But start with a reasonable goal. Get that sheep set up in 5 seconds. Get that sheep set up in 4 seconds. Get that sheep set up in 3 seconds. Because when my boys are at a national show and there's 35 in the class, they get one look, and that's it. And if it don't look right, we're out. Okay? And they know that. And they're competitive. We're going to start this young man right here. I just think he does a great job. He keeps that head where I want it. He just travels around. It looks like these two have been dancing for like years. I mean, they just work together. He's got it smooth going around the ring. He's got the head where I want it. He sets in feet with his hands. The sheep doesn't always cooperate, but he stays calm. He goes back in. He tries to get those feet set. Does a nice job. He's going to be your class winner. This young man right here, I think, does it. I love his hand placement, guys, right there. Sheep's coming. If you ever see me on the side of a show ring going like this to my kids, that's what I'm talking about. He's always got this sheep right here. Boom, boom. I like that. That's how that head placement's supposed to be. That keeps that chest floor up off the ground. I'd like to see you set feet with your hands a little more. Other than that, I think you do a great job. And it starts with the head. I mean, when my kids were little, that's all we worked on was getting the head set. Because once that head's right, the sheep, to be comfortable, will generally set right. Not always, but generally. So let's work on that. And I tell you what, you're gonna be pushing those older kids. There's no question in my mind. This young lady does a nice job too, going from point A to point B. She stays smooth. I tell my boys all the time, girls are going to kick your butt most of the time because they're smoother than you are. They're more like gazelles and you're more like elephants. Okay? She does a great job of that. Every once in a while, you let this sheep get off. Okay? He's a little stubborn. Sometimes he wants to put his foot where it doesn't belong. Maybe it's because he's bullheaded. Maybe that's because of how he's comfortable. I don't know. Okay? But every once in a while, you get a little too relaxed, let that sheep go. But I mean, as far as head placement, hand placement, getting around the ring smooth, you do a great, great job. Appreciate you coming out here today. This young man does a great job too. I really like the way he works the ring. I like the way his short strides. He stays right with that sheep. He doesn't get those big long legs out. He just stays right with that sheep and makes that sheep work. Again, I'd like to see you set with your hands a little more. That comes with practice, but you've got this one trained pretty good where he sets up. Every once in a while you let him get a little too far out and drop his top just a hair, but I think you do a great job. I love your hand placement. I love your way you got those heads set. The next two ladies do a good job. They've got big sheep. Okay, sometimes big sheep can be a little cantankerous. They're a little heavy-headed, as we call it. I'd like to see you fix your hands a little bit. Get where you're using the jawbone. We talked a little bit about that. Using your first finger and your thumbs to kind of control that head. Make sure that head's up at 90, especially when you're out on the move. But I tell you what, you did a great job staying relaxed with those two sheep. The next two in line, I think, also did a good job. We talked a little bit about, making sure that the sheep is set right, making sure we're comfortable doing those types of things. And I'm just telling you, my kids play sports too. They go to practice. And there's no difference out here in the livestock ring. You two did a great job as well. Let's give them all a round of applause. That was a good class.
Entering the arena at this time is our class of beginner showmanship. These exhibitors are Silas Cunningham, Case Stahl, Benjamin Florence, Hannah Florence, Joshua Florence, and Laney Wood. Judge, this is your class. Congratulations to our class of intermediate showmanship. First place, Rowdy Etling. Second place, Reed Etling. Third place, Jenna Stahl. Fourth place, AJ Cunningham. And fifth place, Elizabeth Hauserman. We need first and second place senior showmanship to be getting ready outside the arena. These exhibitors are Katie Wolfer and Emma Brandenburg. We also need intermediate showmanship first and second place, Rowdy Etling and Reed Etling. Pee-wee and adult showmen need to be getting ready inside the barn.
Well, what a nice group of young folks in this particular drive. I see a lot of promise. I see a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of energy. I talked to them about some things individually, what I would like to see them try, and I saw pretty much all of them try it. That doesn't mean they were successful, but at least they listened, at least they tried it, at least now it's in their head, and they're going to say, you know what, when we get home, I want to try it some more and see if I can't perfect it. That's called setting a goal and working towards accomplishing that goal. So that's a good job there. We're going to start with the young man right here with this weather sheep, I think it is. I'm too far away. I can't see. I'm getting old. This weather sheep right here. His presence in the ring is just really nice. He just acts like he's been there before. I get it. He's got a halter. I talked to him about that halter. In this age group, I don't mind a halter. But if we're going to use it, we got to get that thing up so that head stays up where it belongs and that chest floor comes up where it belongs. But there is no question in my mind. You've worked with this sheep. We talked about some things. He did what I asked him to do, and we got more out of the sheep than what we were getting out of the sheep. And for that reason, I like to use him to win the class. The next young man does a great job. I asked him, I said, do you have a sister? He's like, yeah. I said, can she kind of be a pain sometimes? He's like, yeah. I said, well, that sheep's being your sister today. Okay? Not wanting to always behave. But boy, he stayed calm. He stayed cool. I like that about him. He tried to set those feet with his hands. We talked about maneuvering a little smoother, how to reach that. That sheep's kind of long. He's not as tall as I am. And he tried it. May not have worked perfectly, but he tried it. I like that. I like that about him. You do a great job as well. The next two young men are very similar. They're very close in the way they work. We could flip-flop them however you want to do it. I think they do a good job. Couple things is we talked about hand placement, where we wanted to put the hands. I like the fact that they're trying to set feet with their hands. I like the fact we talked to this young man about trying to stay a little bit taller. Use your height. That helps keep that head up. And boom, he did it. Okay, he tried it. He's still not comfortable where he wants to be, but he's willing to try it. He's willing to try to get better. I encourage both of you to study some of the better showmen, whether here or at your state fair or wherever you might go to a jackpot show. Study some of the better showmen, kind of see what they do as well. The next two young ladies, I think, do a great job. They stayed out here. They were calm. They were collective. You can tell they've worked with these sheep. We talked about hand placement a little bit on these, how to control them a little better to make sure they don't back up on us or go forward on us or act squirrely on us. And they both tried that as well. They should be commended. Let's put our hands together for that class.
Making their way inside the arena at this time is all first place showmen. These exhibitors are Katie Wolfer, Rowdy Etling, and Kay Stahl. Please be making your way inside the arena at this time. Judge, this is your class. Congratulations, beginner showmanship. First place, Case Stahl. Second place, Silas Cunningham. Third place, Benjamin Florence. Fourth place, Joshua Florence. And fifth place, Laney Wood. Class 1 of County Born and Raised needs to be getting ready in the barn. These exhibitors are Silas Cunningham, Kenton Wood, and Kenton Wood. Please be getting ready in the barn. Pee Wee Showmanship should be outside of the show arena. The Pee Wee exhibitors that need to be outside of the arena are Libby Cunningham, Piper Standrines, Scarlett Fetters, Kinsey Lee Stahl, Cora Shepard, Colton Shepard, and Taylor Perrin. Please be getting outside the arena.
Well, first of all, let's congratulate all the exhibitors that took time to come out and do showmanship. I'm not going to lie to you. Showmanship's one of my least favorite things in the world. And I'll tell you why. There's a reason for it. It's not because I'm crazy. I'll pick your livestock apart all day. All day. I'll tell you what I like about your animal. I'll tell you what I don't like about your animal. Those are just facts. But now I got to decide between kids. And that's a whole different thing. And I've got preferences that I like. The next guy coming in will have preferences he likes. The next lady that comes in and does it will have preferences she likes. And we're picking apart kids. And I don't like doing that. I don't like picking apart kids. Because in the world that we live in, and y'all are pretty close to a rather large city just like I am, in the world we live in, these kids could be doing a lot of other things. And not very many of them are good. And for that, they should be commended one more time. So I don't like picking apart kids. I congratulate every one of you. If you're standing ringside, I hope you're watching. I hope you're setting goals in your head. I hope you're thinking about what I can do better. A couple of real quick things I did not talk about that I want everybody to listen to. And I know it's not a great big show, and I'm not trying to drag it out, but I want you to get better. At the end of the day, when I leave here, I want kids talking to their parents saying, man, I want to try this, I want to try this, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I want it to be a positive experience. We haven't changed anything we've done, guys. We've come in, we've come around. The very first class, I told the leader, this is what we're doing. Come in, come around, set up right here. I send my boys to the show ring on the first class of the day. They've been showing since they were 5. They're 15 and they're 12. And they still go to the show ring the first class of the day, unless they're in it, of course. And they do their homework, and they study, and they say, okay, this is how they're bringing them in. I'm going to watch class 2 just to make sure they don't change anything. All right, this is what we're doing. And they'll come back, and they'll say, Dad, this is what we're doing. All right, we're ready to go. That's part of doing your homework. Second thing I tell my boys all the time is take 2 steps off the rail. Never be more than 2 steps off the rail. I don't care where the ring person is putting you. Never closer than 2 steps off the rail. Okay? Why? Because a big old guy like me's got to get here between you and your sheep. And if you're right up against the rail, I can't do that. Third, Always leave space between your competitors. I talked to one person about it earlier. I wasn't being overly critical, but I want you to understand this, kids. You got to leave room here for two reasons. Number one, it's courteous. We don't want to be running up into the sheep in front of us. And number two, you got to have room to work. If this young lady was set up clear up here, she's got no room to work. So I always tell them they got to be at least 3 steps from their nearest competitor. And that way, if the guy behind them, if I bring my sheep up and she's got plenty of room, and I come up and crowd her, she's got room to move forward if she needs to make those adjustments. So those are some little things around the ring that I want all you parents and kids to understand. Those are just basic showmanship 101. And showmanship to me, as I said earlier, is what? I want the kid that I can put on my best sheep at a national show, send him to the ring, and get the next one ready, and I'm not worried about it. And for today, my money, the guy that puts it all together is this young man right here. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Reed Etling, Grand Champion Showman. Entering the arena at this time is Rowdy Etling. Correction. Grand Champion was Rowdy Etling. Entering the ring is Reed Etling. Congratulations, Reserve Champion Katie Woofer. Entering the arena at this time is Pee Wee Showman. These exhibitors are Libby Cunningham, Piper Standings, Scarlett Fetters, Kinsey Lee Stahl, Cora Shepard, Colton Shepard, and Taylor Perrin. Judge, this is your class.
I've sat on a lot of boards over the years in the livestock industry, president of the Indiana Sheep Association. I've served as president of the Indiana Southdown Association. I currently sit on the American Southdown Association Board of Directors. And one of the things I always tell them is this: if we don't have this, the future of this deal's over, okay? If we don't have this, the future is over, because us old guys are going to go away someday, and we got to have somebody come in here and replace us. So if you would, and I know you'll do it for the Buckeyes, and I know you'll do it for your local high school, raise the roof on this place, and let's put our hands together and applaud these kids for being out here. I just talked to them about who their helper was. I wanted to make sure, that they brought in good helpers. I mean, I didn't want, helpers that didn't know what they were doing. And they all told me that their helpers were pretty good. So, I'm going to trust that that's the case here, and we're guiding these children in the right direction. But it is so close, and it looks like there's another storm coming in, and it's getting so dark and hard to see. I tell you what, it's a 7-way tie for first. Okay? Great job for all of you. I think they've got an award for you someplace. Put your hands together one more time.
Congratulations to our Pee Wee Showmanship: Libby Cunningham, Piper Sanding, Scarlett Fetters, Kenzie Lee Stahl, Cora Shepard, Colton Shepard, and Taylor Perrin. Making their way into the arena now is our adult showman class, Faith Stegbauer. Making their way outside the arena at this time should be our first class of county born and raised market lambs. These exhibitors are Silas Cunningham, Kenton Wood, and Kenton Wood. Judge, this is your class. Class 2 of Clermont County born and raised market lambs need to be making their way outside the arena. These exhibitors are Laney Wood, and Cruz Cunningham. Class 3 needs to be getting ready in the barn. These exhibitors are Emma Brandenburg, Shelby Rohrbacher, Cruz Cunningham, and Shelby Rohrbacher.
Well, let's put our hands together and congratulate this one exhibitor. She just told me she was a beef and a goat person. So, I couldn't help myself. I had to say, well, in sheep, we need to do this and work on it and get better. So hopefully she'll mentor somebody someday. Let's congratulate her one last time for being out here.
Making their way inside the arena at this time is Class 1 County Born and Raised Market Lambs. These exhibitors are Silas Cunningham, Kenton Wood, and Kenton Wood. Class 2 needs to be outside the arena at this time. These exhibitors are Laney Wood, and Cruz Cunningham. Our judge this morning is Mike Crowder. He is from Sheridan, Indiana. Mike owns Integrity Livestock Sales and raises Southdowns. Let's give a hand for our judge. Our royalty for this morning is our Queen, Amber Averwater, and our swine representative, Shelby Highfield.
Well, in this born and raised class, we're going to start with this young man's ewe lamb. I think this one's obviously the power sheep of the deal. I think one that's really built well from the ground up. Sheep is certainly good in its skeleton and its body, and yet when you get behind this female, she's good in her ribs, she's wide in her pin set, she carries the most amount of mass when we get behind her down into that lower portion of the leg. I think the one that follows the most close is this one here in second. I realize that this one's not quite as long and pretty as the one in third, but man, when you get behind this sheep and you start talking about product, this one's just bigger pin, this one's just bigger hip than the one we have here in third. I like this sheep's length of body. I like the way it's up in its chest floor. I'd like to give it a little more boldness of rib. I'd like to blow him apart when we get up on top of him, but I think a nice class of born and raised to start today. Congratulate these exhibitors.
Congratulations, Class 1 winner, Kenton Wood, breeder Jarman Family Show Stock. Second place, Kenton Wood, breeders Jarman Family Show Stock. And third place, Silas Cunningham, breeder Slack Farm. Entering the arena at this time is Laney Wood, breeder Jarman Family Show Stock. Laney Wood, breeder Jarman Family Show Stock. And Cruz Cunningham, breeder Slack Farm. Making their way outside the arena at this time should be Class 3 Market Lambs. These exhibitors are Emma Brandenburg, Shelby Rohrbacher, Cruz Cunningham, and Shelby Rohrbacher. Judge, this is your class. Congratulations, Class 1 winner, Kenton Wood. Second place, Kenton Wood, and third place, Silas Cunningham. Class 1 of breeding ewes needs to be getting ready in the barn. These exhibitors are Rowdy Etling, Silas Cunningham, Hannah Florence, Lanny Wood, Shelby Rohrbacher, and Reed Etling. Please be getting ready in the barn.
Well, we'll try because I don't know when this is going to end. We're going to start here with this young man's weather sheep. I think, again, just like the previous class, I think this one puts together the most good for me. He's bold in his top. He's bigger in his pins. He's got more behind him when you get right here. I like the way this sheep's made coming out of his hip, out of his loin edge. I think that one's an easy class winner for me. The young lady in second, again, has one that I think most closely follows that one. I think this female, again, has that shape. I'd like to give her a notch more boldness right in the center of her body, maybe spring her out just a notch, but I do like her hip shape. I do like her pin placement. The young lady coming out in third here, I think is one that certainly has a lot of positives. This one does have some shape when you get behind it, maybe not as good fronted, maybe not as clean up through its shoulder and its chest floor as our top two, maybe not quite just as much in that loin edge, but I think three nice lambs in this division. Thank you.
Congratulations, Class 2 County Board and Raised Market Lambs. First place, Cruz Cunningham, breeder Slack Farm. Second place, Lady Wood, breeder Jarman Family Show Stock. And third place, Laney Wood, breeder Jarman Family Show Stock. Entering the arena at this time should be Class 3. These exhibitors are Emma Brandenburg, Shelby Rohrbacher, Cruz Cunningham, and Shelby Rohrbacher. Making their way outside the arena at this time should be Class 1 sheep breeding ewes. These exhibitors are Rowdy Etling, Silas Cunningham, Hannah Florence, Laney Wood, Shelby Rohrbacher, and Reed Etling. Judge, this is your class. First and second place winners of Class 1 and 2 need to be making their way outside the arena at this time. These exhibitors are Kenton Wood, Cruz Cunningham, and Laney Wood.
Thank you. Well, I think this young lady's weather sheep coming out here, it's kind of pushing where I want to be in terms of condition, but I think we're still in bounds as far as that goes. This one just moves better. This one's longer hipped. This one's longer strided. You can tell the flexibility and the give and the go in this particular sheep. And yet it's also the biggest loin, the thickest loin edge when we get on top of it. I'd like to just peel just a notch of condition off that front end. But like I said, I think we're still in bounds. This young man's ewe lamb coming out here next. I really like her a lot. I think she's a little fresher to the touch than our class winner. I don't think she's quite as big as our class winner in terms of weight. This one gets a little shorter coming out of its hip. If you watch this thing on the move, it kind of gets up underneath itself, maybe doesn't stride out and is flexible, and that's just due to that shorter hip length than what we had in our class winner. I don't think this one's quite as big and bold in its loin and as deep in its loin edge as our class winner, but that's an awful nice ewe lamb right there, certainly one that can go on out in productivity. The young lady's ewe lamb coming out next is similar to that one that just went out. This one's just not quite as wide when we get on top of it, maybe not quite as bold when we get behind it in terms of its leg shape, in terms of its muscularity, but I think that's a pretty nice sheep as well. Young lady, you did a nice job. The next sheep coming out just kind of runs into a lot of power in terms of the 2 or 3 above him. Maybe not when you get behind this one. He's got some product. He's got some muscularity, just not quite as wide and pulled apart as our class winner and those above him today. But I think certainly a sheep that's fresh, that's long-bodied, that's up through his chest floor. Let's congratulate all 4 of those exhibitors.
Congratulations, Class 3 winners. First place, Emma Brandenburg. Second place, Shelby Rohrbacher. Third place, Shelby Rohrbacher. And fourth place, Cruz Cunningham. Making their way inside the arena at this time should be all Class 1, 2, and 3 first place winners. These exhibitors are Kenton Wood, Cruz Cunningham, and Emma Brandenburg. All second place winners should be entering the arena at this time. These exhibitors are Kenton Wood, Laney Wood, and Shelby Rohrbacher. Class 1 breeding ewes should be outside the arena at this time. These exhibitors are Rowdy Etling, Silas Cunningham, Hannah Florence, Laney Wood, Shelby Rohrbacher, and Reed Etling. Class 2 should be getting ready in the barn. These exhibitors are Leah Riley, Elizabeth Hauserman, AJ Cunningham, Cruz Cunningham, Leah Riley, and Elizabeth Hauserman. Please be getting ready in the barn.
Well, in this is born and raised, correct? In this born and raised category, certainly been some nice individuals come out here, commend the local breeders for putting these sheep together, getting them bred right, getting them settled, and getting them lambed out and raised, and getting them in the hands of good feeders. You know, I used to not believe this. They always said it takes a village. I didn't believe that until I started having kids of my own and trying to show. And I lean on a lot of people for help, and I've been doing this 30 plus years. You're never too old to learn. Always remember that. Never too old to learn. This has been a nice drive. Certainly some sheep out here that we can latch into. Certainly some sheep that I'd be happy to feed in our program. I'm not into drama. I'm not into going to Vegas and gambling and having a poker face. We're going to go out and select our champion in reserve. If you would, just put your hands together and congratulate him, please.
Congratulations, Emma Brandenburg, Grand Champion Market Lamb. Congratulations, Kenton Wood, Reserve Champion Market Lamb. Making their way inside the arena at this time should be Class 1 sheep breeding ewes. These exhibitors are Rowdy Etling, Silas Cunningham, Hannah Florence, Lainey Wood, Shelby Rohrbacher, and Reed Etling. Making their way outside of the arena at this time should be Class 2 sheep breeding ewes. These exhibitors are Leah Riley, Elizabeth Hauserman, AJ Cunningham, Cruz Cunningham, Leah Riley, and Elizabeth Hauserman. Congratulations again to Emma Brandenburg, Grand Champion, County Born and Raised Market Lamb, and Reserve Champion Kenton Wood, County Born and Raised Market Lamb. Judge, this is your class. Class 2 sheep breeding ewes should be making their way outside the arena at this time. These exhibitors are Leah Riley, Elizabeth Hauserman, AJ Cunningham, Cruz Cunningham, Leah Riley, and Elizabeth Hauserman.
Closest deal of the day, without question. Just stay right there, young man. Young man, just stay right there. Closest deal of the day, without question. And we've got two different kinds of sheep. We've got one that's a little longer, a little taller fronted, a little prettier, with enough muscle. And we've got one that's a little shorter fronted, a little shorter bodied, with a little bit more muscle. And you can pick your poison. And if you wanted to tell me, man, I'd have swapped them, I'd have said, I understand that. We're going to go with the one that's just a little more extended for me. One that's up in its chest floor, really comes out of the top of his shoulders the way I like them, but they're built. She's big through the center portion of her rib cage. She's still bold coming out of her pin set. This is one that's got some longevity. She just kind of floats around the ring for the young man, free and easy. This is one that I see being a production female 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the road. That's why that one wins the class. The power sheep is the one in second. This is a little bit more terminal type of sheep. And what I mean by that is this one's a little bit less extended up through that shoulder, maybe not quite as pretty through that front end. But when you get behind this one is as bold as we have in this particular drive. She's bigger right there at the point of her loin, right there at the point of her pins. I really appreciate her for those things. If I could put the front end and the length of body of the first one on the muscle and the expression of the second one, I'd probably be talking to somebody about buying me a sheep. Okay? Really two nice pair of sheep here to start this class. The two young ladies coming out here in third, I bet you a lot of years one of these two wins the class. You ran into a lot of power today. You ran into two pretty salty ones for me. We're going to use the young lady here coming out in third. I think this is one that's just a little bit better in terms of her rib cage, a little bit better in terms of her hip shape compared to our one in fourth. But I think a pair of really, really nice ewes here next in the drive. This young man coming out next is another one that's got one that's long and pretty. I like the way this one's built. I like the way it comes out of the top of its shoulder. We get behind this one. We got to pull this one apart. We got to make her a notch stouter and wider. I like to see a little bit more production orientation out of her in terms of her center body. But I think maybe one that's a little younger and with time will come along and put those things on for this young man. Then we get one that coming out here I think's built really good. I like the center body of her. She's got some turn and curvature to her rib. She just gets probably out-aged here today in terms of her overall makeup and design. Probably one of the youngest one out here. But young lady, I think if you stick with the project, that one could grow out to be a really good yearling ewe. Congratulations to all of them.
Entering the arena at this time is Class 2 sheep breeding ewes. These exhibitors are Leah Riley, Elizabeth Hauserman, AJ Cunningham, Cruz Cunningham, Leah Riley, and Elizabeth Hauserman. Congratulations, Class 1 winners. First place, Rowdy Etling. Second place, Reed Etling. Third place, Shelby Rohrbacher. Fourth place, Lainey Wood. And fifth place, Silas Cunningham. Getting ready in the barn should be Class 1 sheep market sheep. These exhibitors are Katie Woofer, Shia Florence, Silas Cunningham, and Kenton Wood. Please be getting ready in the barn.
Take a nice class of yearling ewes here, and the young lady's got one here that kind of just stand right here. Kind of comes to the top for me. This one's just kind of the show sheep of the group. She's long bodied. She's good in her front end. She's got enough muscle. I would like to see that leg come down a little deeper, but I love her center rib. I love her boldness. I love her top shape. This one gets a tick piecey on the move for me right here at the hip loin junction, but I think this sheep's got enough good to it that I think it wins this class for me. The next two are really close for me. I mean, they're both sheep that can travel. They're both production oriented. You can see the middle center of their body. They've got some capacity. They've got some rib cage. They've got some things that are production oriented for me as a sheep producer. I think this one's a little cleaner in terms of her condition relative to the 1 and 3rd. I think she's a little bit fresher to the handle, but I think a pair of really nice yearling ewes here, I'd be happy to have either one of them, get them bred to the right ram. I think you ladies could have something really special next year. This one here follows the one right in front of it. Very similar in its design and made. Maybe not quite as long-bodied as the one in front of it. This one gets a little hinky for me. When we get her out on the move, she kind of wants to hock a little bit for me. But I think one that's certainly, again, a lot of power in this sheep. We get her on the right buck and get her extended and up through her front end. I think we can have some babies that look really good. The next sheep coming out, the next two actually, are sheep that just aren't quite as bold in their rib cage. And bold in their rib cage is a term a lot of guys use. What that means is we're looking for curvature. We're looking for shape because these things have to be able to carry babies someday. And if they don't have that center body and that capacity to do those things, then we start having to pull lambs. We get small lambs. We get low birth weights. And we get things that aren't production oriented that we're looking for in these females. So I try to get a buck on these types of females right here that's a little stouter, a little bolder, maybe not as long and pretty because these have those things. They are long-bodied. They are pretty. They are clean. I think a nice set of females that can go out into the flock for these young men and do a good job. Thank you.
All first and second place winners need to be making their way inside the show arena at this time. These exhibitors are Rowdy Etling, Breed Etling, Leah Riley, and Elizabeth Hauserman. Please be making your way inside of the show arena. Judge, this is your class. Congratulations, Class 2 winners. First place, Leah Riley. Second place, Elizabeth Hauserman. Third place, Elizabeth Hauserman. Fourth place, Leah Riley. And fifth place, Cruz Cunningham. Making their way outside of the arena at this time should be Class 1 of sheep and market sheep. These exhibitors are Katie Woofer, Shia Florence, Silas Cunningham, and Kenton Wood. Please be making your way outside of the arena.
Well, as I said earlier, I'm not into a lot of drama. I don't try to drag things out. It's hot, it's rainy. These kids have been working hard all day. I thought there was a set of sheep that really hit me hard when they came in the ring. I think they're sheep that are built right. I think they're sheep that are good in terms of their skeleton, in terms of their structure, in terms of the way they're made, and yet they still have muscle, and yes, they still have shape, and yet they still have bells and whistles that make them look pretty in the show ring. We're going to use these two young junior ewe lambs on the far end for champion and reserve.
Congratulations, Grand Champion Sheep Breeding Ewe, Rowdy Etling. Congratulations, Reserve Champion Breeding Ewe, Reed Etling. Making their way inside the arena at this time should be Class 1 Sheep Market Sheep. These exhibitors are Katie Wolfer, Shia Florence, Silas Cunningham, and Kenton Wood. Judge, this is your class. Class 2 should be making their way outside the arena at this time. These exhibitors are Benjamin Florence, Kenton Wood, Joshua Florence, and Laney Wood. Please be making your way outside of the arena at this time. Class 3 should be getting ready in the barn. These exhibitors are Laney Wood, AJ Cunningham, and Cruz Cunningham. Please be getting ready in the barn.
Really nice set of lightweight market lambs in this first drive, and you know, this young lady's been out here a few times. I think she did showmanship, and then came out with a little person in the peewees, and I've seen this lamb 2 or 3 times, and boy, I tell you what, this one just doesn't change. This one stays together. This one's good on the move. This one's good on the stick. This one's built right. I know he's little. This one's got a bright future. I mean, I'd love to have this one on feed for my kids, see what the future can bring for us. That's your class winner pretty easily for me. This young man's got one in here I think would win a lot of shows. I mean, you know, last year or next year might have been your champion. Certainly built right. I love his center or her center body. She's made good. She's bold. And yes, she's still big and shapely up on top. We get behind her. She's certainly got enough width and dimension for me. Maybe not quite as wide as the ground. Maybe not quite as all the bells and whistles as our class winner in terms of lower part of her skeleton as she goes on the move. But I think one that's certainly deserving of this spot here. Nice sheep as well. Young man sheep coming out next is certainly a long and pretty. This sheep's up fronted. This one's got a lot of things going for it. Gets a little, when we get behind him, he's a little flat when we get onto the side of him. Doesn't have as much shape as our top two in this particular drive, but I think he's a little fresher to the handle. He's a little longer and prettier than our one that comes out next, and that's what gets him in the third. This young lady's done a nice job with this dark pelted colored sheep here, and I certainly like some things about her. I think she's certainly got some width and dimension to her. Again, probably not quite as much as our top two in this particular drive, maybe not quite as pretty as the one that just left, but I think a nice sheep in its own right. Let's congratulate all those exhibitors.
Class 2 market lambs should be making their way inside of the arena at this time. These exhibitors are Benjamin Florence, Kenton Wood, Joshua Florence, and Laney Wood. Please be making your way inside of the arena at this time. Judge, this is your class. Congratulations, Class 1 market lambs. First place, Katie Wolfer. Second place, Kenton Wood. Third place, Silas Cunningham. And fourth place, Shia Florence. Class 3 market lambs, please be making your way outside of the arena at this time. These exhibitors are Laney Wood, AJ Cunningham, and Cruz Cunningham. Class 4 market lambs need to be getting ready in the barn. These exhibitors are Case Stahl, Emma Brandenburg, Shelby Rohrbacher, and Rowdy Etling. Please be getting ready in the barn.
I don't know if this is middleweights or what you want to call this particular division, but this young man's ewe lamb right here, it just kind of overwhelms the particular animals in this drive. I think this one's just got all the pieces and parts in terms of muscularity, all the pieces and parts in terms of look, in terms of design, in terms of show ring presence. She wins this class pretty handily. I think the one that comes closest is this one here. This is probably the next most shapely animal in this particular drive. I really like the way this one's built on the top part of its skeleton. He's not wanting to, or she's not wanting to behave very much today. Wants to drop that old head on this young man, but he's hanging in there. But I'm telling you, when he gets this one stuck and you get your hands on it, this one certainly pulled apart. I like those things about it. Just not quite as massive as our one that wins the particular class. The next two lambs coming out, I think, are very similar in terms of their design. I think this one's just a notch better in that center rib cage. Maybe a notch better on the top part of its skeleton than this blue sheep coming out fourth, but I think a nice pair of lambs. Let's congratulate these exhibitors.
Class 3 is making their way inside of the arena at this time. These exhibitors are Laney Wood, AJ Cunningham, and Cruz Cunningham. Congratulations, Class 2 winners. These exhibitors are first place, Ken Wood, second place, Joshua Florence, third place, Benjamin Florence, and fourth place, Laney Wood. Judge, this is your class. Class 4 needs to be making their way outside of the arena at this time. These exhibitors are Case Stahl, Emma Brandenburg, Shelby Rohrbacher, and Rowdy Etling. Please be making your way outside of the arena. Class 5 market lambs need to be getting ready in the barn. These exhibitors are Cruz Cunningham, Tate Tisland, and Reed Etling. Please be getting ready in the barn.
A lot of give and take in this particular drive, and I think, and that happens. I mean, that just happens at county fairs. Sometimes the weight breaks and the way things go, and you just try to search and find one that you're comfortable with. I think that's this young man's sheep here. I think this one's really fresh to the handle. I think this one's really bold right here in its loin, good in its loin edge. Still has some shape. I'd like to put a notch more rib cage in this particular sheep. I'd probably like to put a notch more muscle in that lower third portion of his leg. But I think one that just puts too many good things together relative to some of its contemporaries. The one is second is similar in terms of its design. I think that one's got some shape. I think that one is good in its loin edge. I just think this one doesn't handle quite as nice and as fresh as our class winner at this particular time, but I think this one has a lot of good as well. The next one coming out here is one that, boy, when the young man gets it on the move, I think this one's really smooth. It's one that you sit there and you study and you think, wow. And you get behind it and he starts to flatten up, and his rib cage, maybe not quite as bold right here at his top shape as our top two in this particular class, but I think one that's certainly long-bodied, certainly attractive when you get yours off to the side. This young lady's doing a great job working on this ewe lamb here. She didn't want to be out here showing today, and I understand that. That happens to all of us, but you've done a great job. This one gets a little hinky for me on the move. Maybe gets up underneath her. Maybe not quite as long in her hip shape as some of the ones above her. But young lady, you've done a great job handling that athletic sheep and not getting frustrated. Congratulations.
Class 4 market lambs need to be making their way inside the arena at this time. These exhibitors are Kay Stahl, Emma Brandenburg, Shelby Rohrbacher, and Rowdy Etling. Congratulations, Class 3 winners. First place, AJ Cunningham. Second place, Cruz Cunningham. Third place, AJ Cunningham. And fourth place, Laney Wood. Judge, this is your class. Class 5 market lambs need to be making their way outside of the arena. These exhibitors are Cruz Cunningham, Tate Tisland, and Reed Etling. Please be making your way outside the arena. Class 6 market lambs need to be getting ready in the barn. These exhibitors are Shelby Rohrbacher, Katie Woofer, and Rowdy Etling. Please be getting ready in the barn.
Well, I tell you, this top pair is really close for me. I mean, there's some differences in these sheep. There's things I like about both of them. There's things that one is better than the other on both sheep, okay? But this one, it starts the class for me. I think what's finally settled it is we put them on the move. I told them, I said, don't switch sides. When you're showing a sheep try to win a show, don't worry about switching sides. Just get the sheep shown. The judge will move where he wants to move. And so I told him that. I just wanted him to walk. And I think this one here just stays better up through that chest floor when we put him on the move. They're both powerful, okay? They both got a lot of shape. They both have a lot of muscle. I think the one in second, maybe in its lower part of its skeleton is a tick wider in his base width relative to the class winner. But I think in terms of top part of the skeleton, I think they're very similar. I think the one in second maybe handles a notch fresher. I'd just like to see him stay up in his chest floor relative to our class winner. But I think two rock stars right here to win, be 1-2 in this class, and I wouldn't be ashamed to feed either one of them. This young man comes out with a nice sheep. I really like this particular animal. This sheep's got some shape and some design and some style. I just need to pull this one apart, make him a notch longer, get him up off of his chest floor a little bit, get him a little taller fronted. But I think one that's certainly shapely and certainly got a lot of good. And this young lady, this sheep's no slouch either. This sheep's got some top. When you get your hands on it, certainly one that, and she's not being very cooperative, but when you handle that loin, got some shape and some loin edge, maybe not as fresh to the touch, maybe not quite as pulled apart as our top two in this particular drive, but I think another good heavyweight lamb. Congratulate all four of those exhibitors.
Entering the arena at this time is Class 5 market lambs. These exhibitors are Cruz Cunningham, Tate Tisland, and Reed Etling. Judge, this is your class. Congratulations, Class 4 winners. First place, Emma Brandenburg. Second, Rowdy Etling. Third, Case Stahl. And fourth, Shelby Rohrabacher. Class 6 market lambs need to be making their way outside of the arena at this time. These exhibitors are Shelby Rohrabacher, Katie Wolfer, and Rowdy Etling. Please be making your way outside of the arena. Class 7 market lambs need to be getting ready in the barn. These exhibitors are Jenna Stahl, Tegan Tisland, and Reed Etling.
I guess this was the heavyweight class. I misspoke in that last division, and certainly we've got one here that, as these lambs get heavier, and I don't know what they weigh, but I've got an idea. I'm pretty confident in where I'm at. But as these lambs get heavier, it is so hard to keep them fresh. It is so hard to keep them put together. It is so hard to keep them functionable in terms of movement. And yet this young man's done a great job getting this one to do all of those things. I think in terms of boldness, in terms of power, base width, all the way to the top of his skeleton, this one's about as good as you can make one. I certainly like to make him a notch better up through his shoulder just a little, maybe make him a little longer coming out of the top of his blades. But I think one that in terms of cutability, in terms of muscularity, in terms of power, just kind of overwhelms the two here in this particular drive. This next one, sheep coming out here, I certainly like this one. I think this one in terms of shape coming out of his top, in terms of curvature and natural rib shape, I think it's a notch better than the one and third. These two are nice sheep. You two young men should be commended. You just ran into one that was really, really good. Thank you.
Entering the arena at this time is Class 6 market lambs. These exhibitors are Shelby Rohrabacher, Katie Wolfer, and Rowdy Etling. Judge, this is your class. Congratulations, Class 5 market lambs. First place, Tate Tisland. Second place, Reed Etling. And third place, Cruz Cunningham. Making their way outside of the arena at this time should be Market Lambs Class 7. These exhibitors are Jenna Stahl, Tegan Tisland, and Reed Etling.
Well, as I said earlier, and I guess I'm way off on what the heavyweights are and so forth, but as they get bigger, it gets harder to hold them together. It gets harder to keep them fresh. And I think this young man does a nice job in terms of just cleanliness up through its chest, in terms of cleanliness in its shoulder, getting up onto the top of its skeleton. I'd like to pull this one apart in its center body a little, maybe give it a notch more muscle in its lower leg. But I think this one, just in terms of his overall silhouette, I think wins this class. This is the power sheep in the class. There's no question about it. You get behind this, you hang this one up on the rail. This one's going to bring you a lot of meat to the table. This one gets a little short-bodied for me. This one gets a little plainer for me, especially right on top of its shoulders, all the way back into its rack shape. I'd like to freshen this one up a little bit. Maybe his best day was 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I think a nice sheep in terms of power and muscularity that you've got to get him here in second. Then the sheep coming out in third, again, is one of those that I think's got a lot of good to it. Certainly not as long and pretty as our class winner. Certainly not as powerful as our one in second, but I think a nice sheep in its own right. Let's congratulate all three exhibitors.
Making their way into the arena at this time is Class 7 Market Lambs. These exhibitors are Jenna Stahl, Tegan Tisland, and Reed Etling. Congratulations, Class 6 winners. First place, Rowdy Etling. Second place, Katie Woofer. And third place, Shelby Rohrbacher. Judge, this is your class. All first and second place winners need to be making their way outside of the show arena at this time.
Again, another one that's kind of held together for this young exhibitor, and certainly one that's got a lot of bells and whistles. Still handles fresh to the touch. Still got some shape and some power when you get on top of it. Certainly a lamb that deserves to win this particular class. The one coming out next is the one that closely follows that particular individual. Maybe not quite as showy as our class winner, but I think one that certainly has got from the center part of his body back is pretty good. I'd like to fix his shoulder, maybe fix him up on top of his blades a little bit, but I think one that's certainly deserving of second. The next sheep coming out, certainly a colorful made kind of a sheep. I certainly appreciate him for that. Just a little soft today for me, a little rough up through that front end when we get our hands on him, but I think a nice set here in this heavy division. Thank you.
All first and second place winners need to be making their way inside the arena at this time. These exhibitors are Katie Wolfer, Kenton Wood, Class 8 is entering the arena at this time. These exhibitors are Jenna Stahl, Tate Tisland, and Tegan Tisland. Judge, this is your class. All first and second place winners need to be making their way outside of the arena at this time.
Again, a lot of give and take here in this heavier division, and And I think the young man sheep here to start the class is the one that, to me, holds it the best together when we get him out on the move. We get him on the brace. He's certainly bold. He's certainly wide. He's certainly got some product when you get behind him in that. When you get behind him in that rear third, but I think one that wins this particular division for me, just on the merit of his mass. I think the one coming out next is one that's certainly not quite as wide and bold as our class winner. I think he's just a little better on the move when we get him out in motion compared to our next one. And I know that third place weather is not one to cooperate.
Congratulations, Class 8 winners. First place, Tate Tislin. Second place, Tegan Tislin. And third place, Jenna Stahl.
All right, thank you. It's hot right now.
Entering the arena at this time is all first and second place winners. These exhibitors are Katie Wolfer, Kenton Wood, Joshua Florence, AJ Cunningham, Cruz Cunningham, Emma Brandenburg, Rowdy Etling, Tate Tisland, Reed Etling, Rowdy Etling, Katie Wolfer, Tegan Tisland, Reed Etling, Tate Tisland, and Tegan Tisland. Judge, this is your class.
Well, not a lot of numbers today, but I think the quality's been good. The exhibitors have been phenomenal. Couple things before we wrap up here today at this particular show, and some of it's for the exhibitors, some of it's for you family members out there. You know, these things don't just happen, okay? They don't just happen. You don't just show up here at the county fairgrounds and show sheep unless somebody's in the back volunteering to do whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. And I'll give you an example. Last year at my son's county fair, we had a downpour, and the end of the show arena, we're not concrete, it's dirt, and there was a flood. You couldn't get the sheep to the show ring because the water was about knee deep. And our barn superintendent and about 4 or 5 other volunteers jumped in there and dug holes with post holes, stuck sump pumps in there, got that water out so we could continue showing sheep. So before the day's over, both exhibitors and family, make sure you find those people. Make sure you thank them, because they don't do it for the money. They do it because they love. They just love doing it. And it's something that they're passionate about. So make sure you do that. Family members, I guarantee you someplace on this fairgrounds is an ice cream stand or a milkshake stand. I promise you. If my youngest son was here, he'd have already found it. Thank you. How much do I have? Is that it? All right, exhibitors don't move. I guarantee you there's an ice cream stand. Family members, take them out there, get them a milkshake. They've worked hard, it's hot, it's muggy. You know, this is supposed to be fun. We showed yesterday at our county fair. We didn't have a great day. Okay, my boys were a little disappointed. But at the end of the day, we had birthday cake for one of the exhibitors' little sisters, and we sat and we talked and we visited, and we lived to fight another day. Always remember that. This is just my opinion. I sort them the way I see them. I sort them the way I like them. You don't have to agree. I don't care if you do or not. This is my day to do this, so understand that. And it's a proud dad moment when you sit down and your oldest son goes, "Dad, it's all right. We got another show next weekend." He's 15 years old, and he's got it figured out. Put your hands together. Congratulate him. I'll get your top 5. Did you put your batteries in it?
You really should have pulled seconds up before you did that. Well, God knows he was in there long enough. Congratulations, grand champion Tegan Tisland, reserve champion Emma Brandenburg, 3rd overall Tate Tisland, 4th overall Katie Wolfer, and 5th overall Ken Wood.
Market lamb exhibitors, you will have until this evening to consign your lambs to the sale. Market lamb exhibitors, you will have this evening to sign your lambs to the sale.